African American Legends tells the story of African Americans in this country, how we have opposed racism, how we have supported opportunities, and how we have made things better for the country as a whole. I'm your host, Dr. Roscoe C. Brown, Jr., and with us today is Vice President George Sanchez from Bronx Community College of the City University of New York. Hi, George. Glad to have you with us today.
Well, thank you, Roscoe. Thank you for having me on your program.
As you know, I was president of Bronx Community College for 16 years, and prior to that, the first black president of New York State was James Colston, who was appointed back in 1966. So the present president is President Carolyn Williams, who's been there for over 10 years already, and you are the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Now tell us, what do you do at Bronx Community College?
Well, much to people's surprise, I don't always understand what academic affairs and a VP of academic affairs, but if you were to have some sense of the association, you went to school, there was a school principal, you went to college, there were deans, and all along you got to know that someone was in charge of the teachers and the faculty and the curriculum. And the job of a VP of academic affairs is exactly that. It hasn't changed. My responsibility is to oversee the academic programs, the integrity of the academic programs, and the working of the faculty and the curriculum. It's a polyglot, if you will, of activities in the academic environment.
Now, the student body at Bronx Community College, how many students? What is the ethnic background? What's the average age?
Well, we have a burgeoning enrollment. So this spring, we enrolled over 9,500 students.
This is the spring of 2009.
09, yeah, most recently. And it continues to grow. And we anticipate that in the fall of 09, we will see a continuing enrollment. And today, community colleges are experiencing enrollment increases, and so are we.
Why is that?
Well, it's a mixture of the economy. When people are out of work, we see enrollment in community colleges burgeon. I think importantly also, people are understanding that community colleges are a great place to start their undergraduate education or to continue it. The cost of higher ed has skyrocketed, and folks are shopping, and they realize that the quality in community colleges is there. Certainly in CUNY, you couldn't get a better buy for your first 2 years of school. We also offer a number of career programs which are very attractive to those who are looking for career changes and are looking for a step in the career ladder. And we have many programs.
What are some of the career programs?
Well, certainly in the health industry, you know, you talk about where are the jobs of the future, and certainly the health industry continues to be one of continued growth. So obviously our nursing program continues to be a competitive and one that is sought after by many students. But we also have radiology, nuclear technology, medical lab technologies, licensed practical nursing, and a number of other areas that fit the health environment.
Do you have anything in nuclear medicine, nuclear medical technology?
Yes, we do. We have one of the few programs in the region in nuclear medical technology, and we've had that for a number of years. And we're one of the few also that have radiology. Now, these are very expensive programs, so for the tuition at a community college, it is a really bargain, or welcome bargain. It's competitive. So that we look for students that perform well and have good potential to succeed as radiologists and as nuclear med technologists. So it is a competitive program, and we have many who seek these programs.
Now, the Bronx Community College is part of a network of community colleges in the City University of New York. It's publicly funded by both the city and the state. Many of the community colleges are located in their boroughs. They have Queensboro Community College, Manhattan Community College, Bronx Community College. There was one at Staten Island, which is now part of the College of Staten Island. So how does Bronx Community College fit into that panoply of community colleges? What does it do that is unique from the other community colleges, other than to be in the Bronx at the Great Hall of Fame campus?
Well, being in the Bronx is number one, obviously, but beyond that, you're right. We are part of a family of colleges. You know, there are there are 11 senior colleges and 6 community colleges, and each borough has a community college. We are fortunate in the Bronx. We have 2. We have Oslo's Community College in the southern part of the borough. We're in the midsection, Bronx Community College. So we have 2 community colleges. Each of us has similar programs, but each also has, if you will, a signature direction or programs that attract students to those particular schools. We are strong in the health sciences and have been for a number of years. At one time, we were the only pre-pharmacy program in the state. That's changed by way of state regulation, so you can't call yourself pre-pharmacy anymore. But we certainly have programs in pharmaceutical technologies. That's for the manufacturing end of pharmacology. I mentioned some of the other health programs we have. Most recently, a direction for us has been energy. And so we have an associate's degree program in energy services technician. And this is an area in which we train students, students coming out of the high school, but also those who we call the incumbent workforce, folks in the Con Eds of the world and elsewhere in the utilities, who need a 2-year education to become energy auditors.
Yeah, that's what President Obama talks about, energy of the future jobs. What specifically are the jobs of the future in the energy field?
Well, people ask me, what's a green job, what's an energy job? They exist. Energy jobs are those who will seek to be converted in ways that seek efficiencies in the use of energy and energy generation. And so there aren't, other than when you're talking about windmills out west and that area, the technician there would be essentially someone who, both erects and maintains that facility. And that's probably a job that already exists that's converted to that particular emerging technology. And in our case, in New York City, energy for us, energy efficiency, is in the construction and in the housing area and in transportation. So in our case, where we lead in energy, for example, in transportation, we have the only auto technology program in the city university. We're the only community college that has one, that's publicly funded in the city, and we've had it for a number of years. We've converted that and modernized it to include hybrid technology. And the mayor wants the taxi fleet to go hybrid in a number of years. We're positioning ourselves to train the technicians to do just that. So we've upgraded and modernized our facilities and our curriculum in automotive technology. It is no longer a grease monkey operation as we used to know it. It really is computer-driven and driven by new technologies. Other areas that has seen us get involved, as I mentioned, in energy services, is in this degree program where we train in broad areas. And it's really for folks who are moving and need to modernize their skills as these jobs are converting into energy efficient jobs, energy renewal directions now when we talk about, where's the employment sector, where are the investors in this whole area? It's happening slowly, but I think with the president's leadership and moving incentives for companies to develop and convert into energy jobs, that more of this will pick up, and so will the enrollment in our programs. What we seek to do is sort of be ahead of it.
Didn't the college receive a grant to be one of those sustainable energy centers in the state?
Indeed. 6 years ago, through the help of Congressman Jose Serrano, we established a Center for Sustainable Energy. Congressman Serrano is an advocate of environmental justice in the Bronx. The Bronx, in particular, is impacted by pollution, particularly from transportation, but pollutants from buildings and other areas of industry in the Bronx. And his concern led to moving us and supporting us to establish a Center for Sustainable Energy. And our role there is to promote energy efficiency. And as I mentioned, in transportation, to promote alternative fuels, to promote hybrid technology, and any number of other areas that might drive cars in the future, hydrogen and other biofuels that might be used for that purpose.
Are these programs heavy into science? Are they heavy into marketing or business? Or what is the focus of the program?
Well, the curriculum itself will be obviously in the transportation area. There are the basic areas. You can't get away from engine and transmission and the structure of the car. So the
students will learn how to make engines more energy efficient?
Well, in this case, the hybrids are driven by a component, a battery operated, that generates the energy, conserves and generates as you move and brake. If you know a Prius and how that operates, you save, because it obviously every time you brake, or there are other mechanisms that store the energy, regenerate the energy, and allows you to move a longer distance without using gasoline. Maintenance and installation and oversight of the hybrid technology that goes into the car is is the modernized version of our auto technology program.
Do the automobile companies help to support this?
Yes, they do. I mean, we have partnerships that are developing with Toyota and others. The industry, as you know, is being impacted by the economy, and so they're slow to move to establish partnerships. But there will be cars, they will need to be serviced, and they will need these partnerships, and they will need trained technicians. And so we're positioning ourselves to have students from the Bronx, as we have for a number of years, but in a new mode of training and with new skills, to participate effectively in a new economy in transportation, in a new economy in green jobs, where we're talking building and construction and retrofitting. An energy auditor goes into a building, looks at the envelope of the building. You know, we have, in terms of energy efficiency, our buildings in the city are nowhere near. So when you're talking about from the roof down, from the boiler up, if you will, from green roofs that conserve and tighten up the seal and conserve energy, if you will, temperature in the building, to the systems of the building that we have aging infrastructure throughout our housing stock. They need to be retrofitted in energy kinds of ways, to simple light bulb changes.
Now, in the other areas of the college, I know most community colleges are heavy into business and business technology. What do you do at Bronx Community College in those areas?
Well, we have one of our larger enrollments beyond the health area is our business administration, and we train students in accounting and marketing and finance in preparation often for Baruch and the four-year school, and as a terminal degree, a two-year degree in AAS.
Well, let's talk about that. You talk about the two-year degree and then the transfer programs to other colleges. Mm-hmm. The model of the community colleges is that students should be able to make a seamless articulation between the first 2 years of college and the last 2 years where to get the degree. How does that work at Bronx? Indeed.
I should say that a little over half of our students are in the liberal arts curriculum, and those are, whatever major they seek to involve themselves in, are transfer programs. That is to say that they have intentions, when they graduate, to move on to a four-year school. And in the City University of New York, we have articulation agreements that allow for this seamless transition to the third year and fourth year at the senior college.
So all of the credits from the community colleges are accepted by the four-year college.
What we call our AA and AS degrees, which are in the liberal arts environment. They meet the general education requirements and other requirements within the major to move into the junior year at Lehman, at Hunter, depending upon the program, and other CUNY schools, as well as other non-CUNY schools.
Well, for example, if they have an articulation with an engineering program or a pre-medical program, how would those programs at the community college differ?
Well, they differ in this sense. The competitive programs, when you mention engineering and others, the four-year schools are already being selective in that regard. And so where we prepare our students is to have a rigorous 2 years of preparation for entry, for example, in certain programs at City College or at Hunter or at Baruch, where there is lots of competition, for example, for the Ziegler School of Business.
Do they have to take examinations?
Well, with us, they do. They obviously
I mean examinations to be able to go to the four-year school.
They meet the rising junior exam, is what we call it. CPE is one exam that they take, but beyond that, there is no entry exam to these schools.
Every student has to take an exam at the end of their first 2 years to become a junior. Is that correct?
Well, this is part of the requirements for entry into the. It's sort of an exit exam, if you will, and it's just part of all of the City University has something called the CP. Is an exam that all students entering the junior year must take and pass to move on to.
What is in that exam?
It's a written exam. It's a written.
In what areas?
Well, they're given an exam, and they're challenged in terms of their critical thinking, their writing skills, but essentially it's a written exam that attests to their ability to address a problem, a stated problem, and suggest a solution, contrasts, and to bring forward their thinking on a particular topics, and the topics may change.
Is any mathematics and science in the exam?
There may be, but it's not heavy in that area. It really is more of a written exam.
What is your success rate of moving Bronx Community College liberal arts students into the four-year program?
Most of our students do indeed move on to the four-year school. When we say we have terminal degrees, even students who may enter, for example, a nursing degree, and certainly they're interested in finishing their two-year nursing, getting their licensure, which is called the NCLEX, going to work. But many of those students go on to Lehman, for example, for the baccalaureates in science in nursing, or Hunter, or other schools. So the fact that you have a terminal degree doesn't mean that you don't have an intention to move on to the four-year school, and certainly many of them do as well. But most particularly those who are in our liberal arts, if you're majoring in the humanities and in other areas, typically you're interested in moving on to a four-year school. And most of our students are in that category. A majority of our students are in liberal arts curriculum, and a majority of our graduates move on to four-year schools.
Now, the name of Bronx Community College and other community colleges is Community College. What are some of the programs that Bronx Community College works on with the community? How do they help the community in the Bronx?
I think more than any other school, the Bronx Community College is one of the features, one of the hallmarks of our involvement has been to work with the community during your tenure and even before and throughout the year, throughout the 50th year. By the way, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary about a year and a half ago. History of the college has been, because of its situation in the Bronx and the needs of a surrounding community, that it has been involved in assisting the borough in many ways, develop its human resource capacity through economic development. Obviously, the core of what we do is education. But whether we're talking about partnerships with elementary and secondary schools, for example, I think Bronx Community has had and continues to have one of the largest number of what we call collaborative programs, outreach programs to the high schools, where we work with students and faculty in those schools as they prepare students to enter higher education. We do this because we know we have to start early. We can't wait for students to knock on our doors, to realize that they're short of a math preparation to effectively participate in the college curriculum. So it behooves us to get involved. So we do so from a very early
Well, in your previous activity at the college, you were head of the Educational Opportunity Center.
Correct.
Now, tell us a little about that.
Well, that's when you, in 1987, brought me up to Bronx Community College, if you remember, to organize and build what's called an Educational Opportunity Center. Now, these centers are part of a collaborative, if you will, a partnership with the State University of New York, and they've existed for over 40 years. But in 87, Bronx Community College got the 9th, there were 8 up to that point, the 9th Educational Opportunity Center. And these centers, rooted in Albany and in Syracuse and Long Island throughout the state. There was one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan, but there wasn't one in the Bronx, a borough much in need of this kind of center. And what the center does is provide adult education and vocational training and pre-college education to an adult population much in need of such services. We're talking about the academically and educationally disadvantaged population.
The GED diploma for those who don't have
correct.
Job training for those who don't have high school diplomas.
Correct. But even those who do have GED and need vocational training are not interested necessarily in entering the community college, but may need training for entry-level jobs. That's what the education.
Give an example of entry-level.
Well, for example,
job.
Emergency medical technician, EMT. We had programs in preparing students in the manufacturing of prosthetics, orthotics. We have, short of nursing, we had pre-LPN programs and home health aid programs, patient care programs, a variety of programs that fell short of the preparation that you would normally get in an associate degree program, but still allow you to effectively participate in the health industry in some entry-level jobs. And this is always sort of a moving target because the hospitals and doctors have varying kinds of needs, and regulation changes, and with that we move our educational programs at the EOC. For example, a doctor in an office may need somebody to man the front office, but obviously would welcome somebody who can do a venal puncture, phlebotomist, take blood, do your EKG and those kinds of things. You need to have a college degree
And
to
the
do those
EOC would train them?
We
in
would
areas
do that
like
because under a doctor's supervision, somebody can do that, and that's an economical way of manning a doctor's office. So obviously, we would train folks in those kinds of skill areas, including medical billing, for example. So if your doctor has somebody who can not only do the billing, but take your blood, take your temperature, do the EKG, and those kinds of things under his supervision, that you don't need the college education to do that. Obviously, those are skills that you learn on your way to being also a nurse and being a higher level technician.
In this economic climate, I guess in job training you have to determine which areas you're going to focus on, where the jobs are. How do you make that determination?
Well, it emerges from our faculty. I think we have, in the Bronx, we have an activist faculty that continue to be involved in the real world economy, if you will. So business people in our business programs, it's not only teaching. We have folks who are part of the industry who work with us and have a sense of direction. And oftentimes that they bring that know-how to us. We too look at the changing landscape of the work environment. I mentioned energy, which is sort of an environment that's still in flux. I think at this point, energy might mean, for us in New York City, it may mean something different out west or some other wind corridor where they're looking at wind technology. But for us, as an example, it's really about the housing stock, the retrofit, energy efficiencies, because that's where we're going to make a dent in the carbon emissions footprint of the city. The other is transportation, as I mentioned earlier. We're looking at how we impact on that through hybrid technologies. So these areas really came about, and our involvement came about through a faculty applying for grants, doing the research necessary for us to move and establish curriculums. Now, oftentimes, for example, just to give you an example, our automotive technology program and our energy services came about through a very large grant, $1 million grant from the National Science Foundation. And so we established curriculums in both those areas and established programs and began to recruit students. So this was driven by an interest and involvement on the part of faculty.
Now, clearly the leadership of President Carolyn Williams has played a major role in this, and I understand you have some plans for the future which involve a new building, new program, new faculty. Would you tell us something about those?
Well, new plans. Well, in the area of faculty, you should know that City University of New York has continued to invest in new faculty, despite the economy, despite some of the bumps along the way. The commitment of the Chancellery and the Board of Trustees to reinvigorate, to replenish, and to build the faculty continues as a commitment. So we've seen a seismic change in the professoriate at Bronx Community College and other schools as well. People are retiring and people are moving along. And that sort of has opened up a new opportunity to bring in new talent and to have our students engage with individuals who come from different perspectives, who might not have thought of teaching at community colleges, but see the value, see the interest, want to be in the region, love New York, and love our students.
What about the new building? Well,
that's the other. The big thing is, and this is a crowning achievement of our president, and this is like, Sisyphus rolling a rock up the hill. For years, she's been vigorous in her advocacy for a new instructional building. We had no new buildings on the Bronx Community College campus, and if I might step back a little bit, folks don't understand where Bronx Community College is. We're at 181st Street on University Avenue, which is part of the West Bronx in the University Heights area, and we are located in the old New York University campus, which they sold to the City University of New York, I think in '73. Yeah. And the City University bought that campus, 50-acre campus, and it became the home of Bronx Community College. And it's a beautiful setting, but it's mainly old buildings. Most of those buildings were built about 1900 or thereabouts. So it's been...
Well, that's not really true, because they had the Silver Hall, which is a...
We do have MISTA.
And there's a Tech 2, which NYU built in the 50s, which helped to contribute to their financial problems.
Right.
But as we come to the close of the program, what do you expect to have happen in the new building? Well,
the new building, as I was sort of building up to, it's a new addition, and it will be in the same motif, architectural motif, if you will, of those historic buildings that are on our campus, which were built by Stanford, were designed by Stanford White. And it's about 100,000 square feet, and the major footprint really is a library. and it will house about 20 classrooms. Sorely needed because, as I mentioned earlier, the burgeoning enrollment. But it will be the first new constructions that you mentioned since the 50s for Bronx Community College. When I mentioned no new construction, there's been no construction while Bronx Community College has been the occupant.
And of course, the college is the site of the first Hall of Fame in this country, the Hall of Fame for Great Americans, which the college, with the assistance of support from Assemblyman Coppell and Congressman Serrano, has kept up. And if anybody wants to know about the college, what phone number, how could they find out other than going to the website?
Well, no, I would encourage that they go to the website because there they will see a visual, if you will, of the Hall of Fame of Great Americans. It's important for folks to understand where we're located and what the campus looks like because I think they can make critical connections. The website is the place to go.
What is the website address?
Oh, well, it's bcc.edu.CUNY or CUNY.edu BCC. You can anytime you mention Bronx Community College, .edu will get you there, and you'll see the website.
And what is the information phone number?
Well, the campus information number is 718-289-5000. That's one of our main numbers. But depending upon your inquiry, if you're looking for the Hall of Fame, for example, I would welcome and I would encourage folks to go to our website because then they'll see an immediate connection. And they will realize that even though they've never been to Bronx Community Colleges, they've seen us in many movies, if you will, because we're a great movie venue.
Today on African American Legends, we've been talking with Senior Vice President George Sanchez from Bronx Community College, and he's told us what the role of this college has been in the Bronx and in the City University of New York. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me over, Roscoe.
Thank you.
Good to see you.